I've offered £1,000 reward for anybody who can find one wartime document showing that Adolf Hitler even knew about Auschwitz, let alone gave orders for the killing of the Jews. The only documents you gradually find run the other way. I picked documents that had been on Hitler's desk, documents of which he was aware. I had a pretty strict criterion I applied, and you get a very different picture then. You get a picture then of Adolf Hitler putting out his hand and protecting the Jews every time there was any risk of any harm being done to them. It's a very unusual picture. And for a long time I was way out alone on a short plank. In my opinion, that Adolf Hitler was not an anti-Semite during the war years, but I'm glad to see now that an Austrian professor, who's probably risking her own liberty in saying this, a professor at the University of Vienna, Brigitte Hamann, has published a book called Hitler in Vienna, in which she comes to exactly the same opinion, that during World War II, after he came to power, Adolf Hitler was not an anti-Semite, not anti-Jewish. Okay, he made these speeches. I got them on the wall here. There. Eine der größten Reden Adolf Hitler, one of the most famous speeches of Adolf Hitler, prophetic warning to the world's Jews, prophetische Warnung an das Judentum. This is the famous speech of January the 30th, 1939. I've had it on my wall ever since Henrietta von Schirach gave me these copies of the Nazi newspaper. But if you open that page, you take it out of its frame, and you open the newspaper up, you find the actual speech is 6 pages long, and the reference to the Jews is only 3 or 4 lines long. That's what his interest was. Adolf Hitler was more interested in winning the war. We got episodes of this throughout the war years. A famous episode, November the 30th, 1941. He found out that a trainload of Jews was leaving Berlin and heading to Riga on the Eastern Territories, newly occupied. And Himmler came to him and said, why don't we just liquidate them? We can't house them. And Hitler says, that out of the question. And Himmler had to telephone Heydrich. We got his own handwritten telephone notes saying, keine Liquidierung, not to be liquidated. And it was too late. They were already dead. They were already lying face down, dead, sardine fashion in pits, all machine gunned to death, 1,000 Berlin Jews that morning in the pits outside Riga, along with 4,000 local Jews from Riga who had been swept up in a liquidation action by SS Gruppenführer Jeckeln, who was the chief of the SS and police. The message which Jeckeln gets back that evening is anything but what he expected. Himmler says, the operation you carried out in Riga grossly violates the guidelines laid down by me and Heydrich. Any such further excesses will be ruthlessly punished. You are to report to headquarters. He's referring to the killing of the Berlin Jews and the local Jews. It's not the picture you get, you see, when you read the books by Martin Gilbert and the others. Something is going wrong, something is very haphazard on the Eastern Front. And later that evening, a few minutes later, Grothmann, Himmler's chief adjutant, sends a message to the same SS general at Riga